Manchester United have just drawn at home against FC Twente in the Europa League first game. Oh, God. I don't know whether to laugh. I don't know whether to cry. Oh, it's just painful, isn't it? It's just painful being a Manchester United fan. It really is. It's bad enough that we're playing in the Europa League, right? Which we only got to out of winning the FA Cup, you know? Like, we don't even deserve to be in the Europa League, to be honest, do we? We finished 8th in the Premier League last season. We stole the Europa League off Chelsea. We don't even deserve to be in there in the first place. Let's just start there, okay? And we then come up against FC Twente. No disrespect to FC Twente, okay? They're an Eredivisie side. I don't know. For me, FC Twente are like championship level. And that's probably being quite kind. Their best player is Ricky van Wolfswinkel. Do you remember him? He used to play for Wolves about 10 years ago. Literally. Like, he is their best player. Ricky van Wolfswinkel. It sounds like I'm making it up. You probably think I'm having you on. But he genuinely is their best player. I can't even spell his name. I'm trying to find him. Ricky van Wolfswinkel. Here he is. 35 years of age. Literally, the highlight of his career was playing for Norwich in 2015, 10 years ago, and he's their best player. Arguably, they should have won the game tonight. They were the better team, probably. Christian Eriksen, absolutely awful in the goal that they scored. But I don't want to put all of the blame on Christian Eriksen for that, because if you watch the whole of that clip, right, Bruno Fernandes doesn't even attempt to tackle his player. He just lets him run past him, and that's something you can never do in football. I'm sorry. Eriksen made a mistake. That happens, okay? But when a player doesn't even attempt to tackle the player that's running past them and then they score a goal, I'm sorry, that's unforgivable. I don't care whether Bruno Fernandes is a fan favourite. I don't care whether he has a song that everyone sings at Old Trafford. That is unforgivable. He ran around the pitch all night, contributing nothing, and then there's one opportunity there where he has the opportunity to stop the player from getting through, and he doesn't. He doesn't even bother to attempt to tackle him. At least Rashford tried to tackle the player. It was a mess of a goal, but they had plenty of opportunities to score. I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel good after this whatsoever, to be honest with you, and I'm sure you will do as well. Because the thing that scares me the most about this is when you look at the next fixtures that we've got in the Europa League, right? This was probably the easiest game of the whole thing for us. The next game we've got is against Porto, away from home. If we're bottling it against FC Twente, whose best player is Ricky van Wolfswinkel, at home, at Old Trafford, under the lights, with a full crowd, how do you think this team are going to cope when we have to go and play away to FC Porto next week? I mean, that could be an absolute embarrassment. And then if you think that's bad enough, a week or so later, we've then got to go to Turkey and play against Fenerbahce. I honestly think that we're doomed in this Europa League, to be completely honest with you. And I know people will say, oh, it's too early, there's plenty more games to go. But I could see us losing to Porto and I could see us losing to Fenerbahce, to be honest with you. I could. And, you know, if I'm looking at the game and really, really analysing it, I think today's game, again, for me, just cried out why we need a striker. Xerxes, I think, is an amazing talent. I think he's quality, but he's not a striker. It's clear as day to see the amount of times that people were putting balls into the box and there'll be nobody there because he doesn't know where he's supposed to be. For me, Joshua Xerxes is a number 10. I think as a number 10, he'd be world class. Maybe world class is a little bit of a stretch, but you know what I mean? Like, Joshua Xerxes has been quality since he came. But for me, he has to play with Højlund. Like, we need to see Xerxes and Højlund together. Because Xerxes' first thought when he gets the ball is to pass, is to bring other people into the game. That's not what a clinical striker does. A clinical striker, their first thought is to turn, face the goal and have a shot. And that's not what Xerxes does ever. I think he had one shot in that whole game, and that was because he literally had no one else to pass to. And that's not me criticising Joshua Xerxes, you know? That's just me looking at the situation, saying that Joshua Xerxes needs to be played in a different position. Oh, so frustrating. So frustrating. I'm going to be blunt with you. I've said this before. You know that I back Erik ten Hag. You know that I stick with the manager and all the rest of it. But I honestly feel like this could be the beginning of the end for Erik ten Hag, to be completely honest. And tonight was the first time where it's really, really like I'm not the kind of person who's like anti Ten Hag, get him out. I'm not that kind of person. I'll stick with the manager. I'll stick with the players. But I think tonight I'm worried. I'm not saying he's going to get sacked after tonight's game. Obviously not. But if we don't go and beat Tottenham on the weekend, right? And then you go and lose to Porto. Let me just go through the next 4 fixtures for you. If tonight's game wasn't bad enough, and just to see where my head's at, right? You play Tottenham at home on Sunday, who are, let's be honest, levels above FC Twente. We can't score against Crystal Palace. We scored 1 goal against FC Twente, who are probably not even a championship level team tonight with our best team. We've now got to go and play Tottenham on the weekend, who are going to be fired up for that. Then we go away to Porto in the Europa League. Then you go away to Aston Villa, who are absolutely flying. Away at Aston Villa. And then after that, you've got Fenerbahce away. And then if you think that wasn't bad enough, you've then got to go to London and play West Ham away. And then you play Chelsea, who are absolutely tearing it up at the moment. So our next 5 games, genuinely, Tottenham, we have to beat Tottenham. We have to. Tottenham at home, then Porto away, then Villa away, then Fenerbahce away, then West Ham away, and then Chelsea at home. I mean, I'm worried for him. I'm really, really worried for him. I think it is a matter of time, to be honest. I think it is a matter of time for Erik ten Hag. I'm sorry, you can't draw at home against FC Twente with your best team out there. You can't. I'm sorry. Like, you just can't. Just go and have a look at the players that FC Twente have got. Manchester United have got a squad that's probably worth over £1 billion, right? As I said a couple of minutes ago, FC Twente's best player is Ricky van Wolfswinkel. 35 years of age. He played in the Premier League over a decade ago for Norwich. He's their best player. And they've just gone and got a draw against us and arguably should have won. I know we had a couple of chances towards the end of the game. I'll be interested to see what our XG was for the game, actually. I know it doesn't matter now because we haven't won it, but when I did my match preview, I thought we'd win this game like 4-0, you know? And that's not me being like cocky. Like, they are a championship level side. They're not very good. Our XG for that game was 1.27. Theirs was 0.5. I mean, their goal was very, very lucky in all fairness, but still, like, yeah. It's just getting frustrating now. It's just frustrating. I'm sorry. I feel like we have a good squad. I feel like we have good players. I'm going to say this now, and I don't know the answer to this, but why does Bruno Fernandes not get substituted? He must have something in the contract. He must have something in that contract that says that if he's fit, he has to play. He has to. There's no other explanation for it. You can't just blame Erik ten Hag and say, because it was the same under every single manager. Every single manager, Bruno Fernandes would play. For Erik ten Hag's sake, we have to go and beat Tottenham on the weekend. Like, there's no excuses now. 0 excuses. If this team aren't embarrassed after tonight, then I'm worried. They should be embarrassed. They should be. That's embarrassing. That was pretty much our best starting 11 as well, wasn't it? You know, it wasn't like it was our B team, you know, and our under-21s drew against FC Twente. If that happened, you'd say, you know what, I get it. Squad rotation. You know, maybe we shouldn't have put the under-21s out. That was our best team, pretty much, as far as I can tell. Let me just double check. I mean, yeah, it pretty much was our best team, wasn't it? The only player that's maybe a debate is, you know, whether De Ligt would start instead of Maguire. But the rest of the players were like our first team players, every single one of them. It's just frustrating. I'm going to leave the video here. I just feel frustrated. I'm not going to sit here and scream at the camera. That's not who I am as a person, but it's just not good, is it? It's not good. But yeah, anyway, I'll be back tomorrow morning. Hopefully I can, you know, analyze it a little bit better after sleeping on it. Thank you very much for watching. Please try and have a nice evening. Try and not let it ruin your evenings. I know it probably has ruined everyone's evening. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll speak to you all later. Bye for now.